all those upgrades on it, such as the bar armour, the anti-electronic or the electronic warfare protection equipment, that's that funny tabletop at the back of the vehicle, all of that was done specially for the Afghan campaign, and it's what they call a Theatre Entry Standard Vehicle, TES. Most of the time when they train on the vehicles, they don't look like that. This one comes down from the Armoured Trials and Development Unit. They're the guys that are testing out all the new bits of equipment, making sure it can integrate on the chassis and doesn't get in the way when the vehicle's operating. So that one has got all the bells and whistles on. Normally when they train, as I say, the vehicles look a lot more naked, and they only add the extra equipment when they're going off to fight. So that's our reconnaissance vehicles heading off the field. And in a moment we're going to start bringing on another selection of vehicles, which we put together some armoured personnel carriers. Now inside the museum we've actually got the very first armoured personnel carrier. It's something called a Mark 9 tank, and it was one of those vehicles Britain was readying in 1918, getting ready for what was going to be called Plan 1990. Massive tank attack with lots of different types of armoured vehicles, obviously, as it was called Plan 1919, the following year. And what happens, of course, is we all know, we've got the benefit of hindsight, the war ends, the Germans sue for an armistice in November of 1980. So we tend to forget about some of these very highly developed vehicles that we were starting to design and produce at the end of the First World War. Now, the whole idea of the Mark 9 tank was to put 30 soldiers inside it, carry them forward in the attack with the tanks. So quite an advanced idea. They'd already tried experimenting with a Mark 5 two-star tank. And again, we've got one of those in the museum. It's kind of a stretched Mark 5 tank. They put some Lewis gun teams inside them and took them forward. And then, of course, in the Second World War, we know about the American half-tracks. We're going to see one in a moment. The Germans with their famous 251 armoured car. In Britain, under the auspices of a Canadian commander out in Normandy, he made the suggestion that some redundant Priest vehicles, that's the American M3 Grant chassis, but with a howitzer, 105 howitzer on the top, these were being replaced by Sextons. So he said, why don't we take the guns out, plate over the front of those Priest vehicles, and make them into an armoured personnel carrier. And they called them a kangaroo, quite rightly. They got soldiers inside. And they were used in Operation Totalize. And they proved very successful. They meant the soldiers could go forward under some form of protection, keep up with the other tracked vehicles, the tanks in other words, and then debus at the end. And